Trey Hendrickson will officially be a free agent on Monday. We'll tell you if the Cowboys should be interested in his services next.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Landon McCool. And we just found out that the Cincinnati Bengals will not be tagging Trey Hendrickson, which means he's going to be a free agent on Monday. He already said his goodbyes to Cincinnati. It doesn't seem like the Bengals are all that interested here. And we've been talking about Max Crosby for a while as somebody maybe the Cowboys are interested in, will go after. But with Trey Hendrickson being a free agent and all of his pass rush production, is this a really good fit for Dallas? Why shouldn't they just go out and get him?
I mean, there certainly is an argument, that the Cowboys have a specific need at pass rusher, and this guy has been, in the conversation for top 3 most productive pass rusher in the last 3 or 4 years.
In 2024, he finished second in the Defensive Player of the Year race.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good. This is not like a guy that's been really trending down over the last couple of years. He probably had the best season of his career in 2024. He got hurt in 2025, and now he's a free agent.
Yeah, and look, we'll talk about the cons here, but to point out the obvious pros, I mean, this is a guy that, like you said, he has the accolades, he has the production. He plays a position in which, specifically as a pass rusher, and the way that he plays it, that you feel like if he can stay healthy, that it will age well, right? Because he's a very technique-based, effort-based guy, right? And so I think that there's an obvious fit in this, like I said, in the just basic necessity of needing pass rush that you feel like, well, I mean, the Cowboys should just give all the money they can to this guy. And I think, there's obviously some fit issues that we can work around, but I think, no matter what, you could easily pay this guy, what you're going to probably get him about $10 million more than he was looking to be paid last year. Right. So, something in the area of $25 million or something like that. And we'll, obviously we could talk about years and all that stuff, but I mean, ultimately that's probably what you're paying him annually. And he could come in here and give you, unlike almost any other player that you could possibly obtain through trade or free agency, to be honest, he could, almost kind of guarantee that you're going to get 10 sacks from this guy because he's he's regularly done it for like the last half decade. So yeah, I think the pros here are very straightforward. It's the reason that we're going to get a lot of emails asking us what we think about Trey Hendrickson and whether he'd be a good fit, because he's good at pass rushing, and the Cowboys need a good pass rusher.
Yes, and I think he would be comfortable playing in space. And it's really hard not to tie this into the mock draft that we did. Go listen to that show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And like, if you have a draft that's very heavy in the secondary, you're going to need to be aggressive in free agency. Again, you've got to do this first, but you're going to need to be aggressive in free agency, getting edge rushers. And it's really hard not to look at the idea of, okay, sign Trey Hendrickson, you draft Mansour Delane, you draft Dylan Thieneman, and all of a sudden you feel awesome about your defense, going into the 2026 season.
Yeah, it's like it is kind of a one move solve all to one of your problems to pass rush, right? Because you feel like you pair a top end guy like this with what you've got in Azaraku. It gives Azaraku a little room to breathe as the main pass rush threat, kind of pressure being taken away from him a little bit. So yeah, I think in that situation, it's an easy fit. It's easy to see how it would work, but maybe it's not quite as easy as we're making it seem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just dreaming of situations you get into pass rush stuff, and you've got Quinnen Williams and Oso Digizua and Trey Hendrickson and Donovan Azaraku, and those are your top 4. That sounds awesome. Like, give me that. But it's not that simple. We'll tell you why next. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. March is a time to celebrate women, especially around International Women's Day, and to recognize just how much they carry at work, in relationships, in families, and in all the unseen roles that they step into every single day. It's easy to celebrate that strength, but it's just as important to make space for their emotional well-being. And honestly, that goes for all of us. I think about the women in my life, whether it's my wife, my mom, my mother-in-law, who is unbelievable, and how much they help and how much they carry our burdens every single day to help make us as happy as we can be. So thank you to all of them. And they've all, they've had their struggles. They've all used therapy to help get them to a better place. And that's where BetterHelp can come in, because your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. All you have to do is fill out a short questionnaire, and you can get matched with a licensed therapist at any time. And if it's not the right fit, switch at any time for any reason. Again, go to betterhelp.com/lockedon.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Landon, we're talking about Trey Hendrickson and why this should be a really good fit for Dallas. He's going to be a free agent. But why should the Cowboys exercise some caution here?
It is a lot of money, and I think it's, you and I talked about it at $25 million, annually. And that's just kind of an estimate. It could easily be more than that money. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be on the market looking for pass rushers. It probably represents the only swing that you're going to be able to take in free agency. I mean, that's a ton of money to invest. So and he is a guy that is another player coming off of a hip injury, and that's concerning, especially now for someone who's 31 years old. So it's all that, plus the fact that, we talked about a lot of these kind of deals, like with Max Crosby. The difference between him and Max Crosby is, I mean, he's a better pass rusher. I mean, what we're talking about with Hendrickson, Hendrickson is a better pass rusher, but he is nowhere near the run player, and is probably a negative run player at this point in his career.
Absolutely,
and certainly doesn't play nearly the snaps that a guy like Max Crosby would play. So I just think plus all that, and you're asking him to play a little bit more on his feet than I think he has before. So I just, it's a lot there that you have to consider, and it has to be right, because again, it's so much money that it's your one swing, your one opportunity in free agency to really spend some money.
We want the Cowboys to spend more money on defense, and I think they will. But I think their depth is the bigger issue. And we've talked about it before in this podcast. We feel like they need 5 to 7 new starters on defense. And if you sign Hendrickson, that's going to be your one big move. I also worry about let's say it's $25 million. I think it might be more than that, but that's $25 million for Trey Hendrickson. It's $22 million for Kenny Clark. It's 28 right now for Quinton Williams. Yeah. And then it's 22 or something for Osa Odighizuwa. I mean, you're talking about basically $100 million on 4 defensive linemen when you've got big needs at safety, linebacker, corner. I just wonder if if they would be better off spreading that money out. And I know that That's hard to hear because when the Cowboys have spread the money out before, that's how you end up with guys like Kyler Elam and Kenneth Murray and all that kind of stuff. But the depth is so bad here that I don't know if you can justify spending that much money on a single player in their 30s coming off an injury that he needed to have surgery on during the year.
Yeah, and I think there are other options that are, clearly just better, more well-rounded fits, and that maybe have more experience in this system, and I just and are younger, right? That maybe can grow with the defense a little bit. I just think as it is right now, it's all the things together that kind of make this a suspect, situation for the Cowboys, right? It's not just that he's older or that he isn't quite the system fit and he can't quite play the run. It's in the last segment I said he's a great pass rusher and the Cowboys need a great pass rusher.
Yes.
Almost every other aspect about it is a negative, though, right? Like, he's old and injured, and you're just waiting for the cliff to come off, and he's very expensive too.
We're not opposed to the Cowboys signing an older pass rusher like a Khalil Mack, like a Joey Bosa. Pick your guy, right? But if it's going to be Joey Bosa at 11 million versus Trey Hendrickson at 25, is the difference is Joey Bosa and Nakobe Dean? I'm just going to use a name. Joey Bosa and Nakobe Dean better than Trey Hendrickson? I don't know. We could have the debate about it, but I think that's the issue. Is I think the depth of this team has to improve before you can go out and chase those stars.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you just don't necessarily want to put all your risk into one player, right? Like, I mean, spreading the risk of, there's injuries that can happen. The odds of that are, who knows, right? So you just having it spread that money out a little bit so that you're getting talent a couple different spots, raising the floor a little bit by, spreading it out. It's part of the extension of the kind of strategy that they at least laid out for why they were trading a guy like Micah Parsons to get more talent kind of spread out on the defense.
All right, that is it for today's show. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Cowboys ad-free plus members-only Discord access and so much more. Head over to lockedoncowboys.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we can send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. And on audio, make your second listen to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Follow Landon on Twitter at McCoolBCB. I'm at Marcus_Mosher, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.